There comes a moment in every thinking person's life when the world feels hollow. You wake up one morning, and the familiar rhythm of things, work, routine, ambition, suddenly seems absurd. The sun still rises, the streets are still filled with people rushing somewhere, but something in you no longer believes in the meaning of it all. You stand at the edge of existence, looking into the vast silence of being, and it stares back. This is the place Friedrich Nietzsche called the death of God. Not the literal end of religion, but the collapse of all inherited meaning. The world no longer gives you a script to follow. There is no cosmic order, no ultimate should, no divine scoreboard to tell you if you are winning or losing. And yet, life continues. The heart keeps beating. The body demands you live on, even as the soul whispers, why? This is not depression, though it may feel like it. It is something deeper, a kind of metaphysical vertigo. You have looked too closely at reality, and the comforting illusions have burned away. Nietzsche called this confrontation nihilism, the recognition that life has no pre-given purpose, no fixed truth, no final destination. And yet, he did not despair. He saw in this collapse the possibility for something greater, a chance to create meaning rather than inherit it. But let us not rush to hope. First, we must stay with the terror. Imagine you are standing in an empty cathedral. The air is thick with dust and echoes. Once, this space was alive with the sound of belief. Prayers, hymns, absolutions. Now, it is only you surrounded by silence. The pillars stretch upward like bones of a dead god. The stained glass no longer glows. You whisper your questions into the air, but no one answers. This is the modern soul's condition, alone in the ruins of old certainties. Nietzsche warned that this age would come, when the highest values devalue themselves. When the things we believed in, morality, truth, progress, even reason, would lose their hold. When humanity would become weightless, drifting through the void of its own freedom. And here lies the paradox. In losing the illusions that once anchored us, we become both more lost and more free than ever before. Freedom, when stripped of meaning, is a kind of terror. The human heart craves order, a reason, a why to justify the pain. Without it, we flounder. We cling to distractions, ideologies, possessions, hoping they will fill the hole where certainty used to be. But the void swallows them all eventually. Nietzsche's message was not to hide from this void, but to walk into it, to stare into the abyss without flinching, and to learn how to dance on its edge. He saw nihilism not as an ending, but as a test of whether the human spirit could create new meaning out of the ashes of the old. In one of his most haunting reflections, Nietzsche wrote, "He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze long into the abyss also gazes into you." This is not a warning to turn away from darkness, but a challenge to endure it without losing yourself. To let the abyss reveal what is false in you and what still burns true. The question, then, is not whether life has meaning, but whether you can bear its absence long enough to forge your own. For to survive in a meaningless world is not to find comfort. It is to become the source of meaning itself. When the structures that once held your world together begin to crumble, there's an instinct to rebuild them quickly, desperately, with whatever fragments remain. Humanity has always done this. When old gods die, we invent new ones. When faith collapses, we worship reason, progress, ideology, or self-help. But each of these, Nietzsche warned, can become another illusion, another mask we place over the unbearable face of the void. What happens when all masks fall away? When even truth itself feels like a story we tell to survive? Nietzsche saw this moment coming like a storm on the horizon of history. The 19th century was drunk on optimism. Science was advancing, morality was secularizing, and human reason was crowned king. Yet beneath the surface, Nietzsche heard something breaking. He knew that when belief in objective truth dies, meaning cannot be maintained. The world becomes a mirror, reflecting nothing but our own projections. You can feel this disintegration in modern life. The news contradicts itself. Every opinion has an equal and opposite counterargument. Every truth feels provisional, manufactured, fleeting. We are surrounded by noise, yet haunted by silence. We drown in information but starve for meaning. The great collapse Nietzsche foresaw has already happened, not as an event, but as a slow erosion of faith in anything absolute. And yet, Nietzsche's genius was not his diagnosis of decay. It was his understanding of what could emerge from it. He believed that once the old scaffolds of belief are gone, the individual must step forward as creator. No longer a follower of divine commandments or cultural norms, but a sculptor of one's own soul. We must become gods ourselves, he wrote, not in arrogance, but in responsibility. The world is no longer written. It must be written anew, line by line, through the creative power of the individual will. But what does it mean to create meaning in a meaningless world? It is not as simple as inventing a comforting story. Creation, in Nietzsche's sense, demands that we pass through destruction first, that we tear away every illusion that has made us weak or dependent. It is to dismantle the inner architecture of false hope, moral cowardice, and herd-like obedience. The birth of the creator is also the death of the slave. Consider this. When a painter confronts a blank canvas, there is both terror and possibility in that emptiness. Every stroke could fail. Every color could ruin the composition. Yet the void of the canvas is also what makes art possible. Without emptiness, there would be no space for creation. So too with existence. The death of objective meaning is the blank canvas of being. The void that once terrified us now becomes our most sacred opportunity. But few have the strength to stand before that canvas. Most flee back into the comfort of the crowd, to borrowed values, easy pleasures, or collective rage. Nietzsche called them the last men, creatures of comfort and conformity, blinking in the soft glow of their own mediocrity. They seek not greatness, but distraction. Not truth, but comfort. We have invented happiness, they say, as they sink into sleep. To reject this fate is to become something rare, a being who dares to live without guarantees. One who refuses to outsource meaning to any system, ideology, or institution. Carl Jung, who built on Nietzsche's insight decades later, once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But to do that, one must first strip away who the world told you to be." This is the crucible of creation, the collapse of certainty, the death of the old self, and the terrifying freedom that follows. Nietzsche's vision was not of despair, but of metamorphosis. Out of the ruins of belief, a new kind of human could arise, not a victim of meaninglessness, but a master of it. The question is no longer what is the meaning of life. It becomes what meaning will you dare to create. To survive a meaningless world is not enough. Nietzsche demanded more. He wanted us to transcend it, to move beyond survival and become creators of new values. Beings who stand above the ruins of old morality and carve meaning from chaos. This was the vision of the Übermensch, the Overman, not a tyrant, not a god, but the one who dares to give form to the formless. The Overman is not born. He is made through struggle, solitude, and suffering. Nietzsche understood that greatness cannot grow in comfort. It grows from confrontation with the world, with one's own nature, and with the abyss itself. Imagine a blacksmith hammering molten metal on an anvil. Every strike shapes the steel but also tests its endurance. The fire purifies it. The blows refine it. So too, the individual who confronts meaninglessness is forged in the fire of experience. Each disappointment, each loss, each betrayal becomes part of the shaping. Pain, when born consciously, transforms into power. Nietzsche wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." Chaos, the confusion, the uncertainty, the inner conflict, is not an obstacle to greatness, but its raw material. The Overman does not escape chaos. He learns to dance with it. This is why Nietzsche rejected the comfort-seeking morality of the herd. The herd fears chaos, fears suffering, fears standing alone. It wants safety, equality, and moral reassurance. But what is safety if it costs your soul? What is equality if it erases excellence? The herd survives, but it does not live. The Overman, by contrast, accepts the solitude of the Creator. He walks without guarantees, guided not by external commandments but by an inner flame. a will that says yes to life even in its cruelty. He does not ask life to justify itself. He becomes its justification. To reach this state, Nietzsche proposed a radical inner transformation, the transvaluation of all values. It means to question every assumption about what is good, what is evil, what is success, what is failure. It means to turn morality inside out, to discover what your own spirit affirms, even if it defies the entire world. Think of how much of your life is lived under invisible rules. What you should desire, how you should behave, what counts as success. These are not truths, they are social habits, inherited values passed down like heirlooms from the dead. Nietzsche's task for you is to break them open and ask, do I truly believe this? Or am I merely afraid of standing alone? The transformation begins when the old shoulds lose their power. The self, stripped bare of its borrowed beliefs, faces its own nothingness, and from that void, begins to speak in its own voice. But this is not a journey of comfort. It is a rebirth through fire. There will be moments when the self feels like it is dissolving, when old desires vanish and nothing replaces them, when you look into the mirror and do not recognize who you are becoming. Nietzsche would say, good. That is the price of transformation. You must die many times before you are truly born. It is in this death of the old self that freedom is found. Freedom not as escape, but as mastery. Mastery over your instincts, over your fears, over the narratives that once imprisoned you. The overman is not someone who has all the answers. He is the one who creates answers. He is a poet of existence, painting life not as a problem to be solved, but as a work of art to be lived. Viktor Frankl, a survivor of the concentration camps, echoed Nietzsche when he wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. The why is not found, it is forged. And so the task is clear. The world may be meaningless, but you are not. For meaning is not something waiting to be discovered in the stars. It is something burning to be created within you." Imagine this. One night, as you sit in silence, a shadow steps into your room. Not a demon, but something far more profound. It whispers, "This life, as you now live it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more. And there will be nothing new in it, but every pain, every joy, every thought, every sigh will return to you, again and again, eternally." This, Nietzsche said, is the greatest weight, the idea of eternal return. It is a thought experiment, a spiritual test. What if you had to relive every moment of your life exactly as it has happened? Not once, but endlessly. The heartbreaks, the mistakes, the regrets, the moments of shame. Every second looping forever. Could you bear it? Or would you curse the universe that condemned you to such repetition? The idea is horrifying because it strips away all illusion. There is no escape, no afterlife, no redemption beyond the life you have already lived. Everything you have done becomes eternal. There is no second chance, only the eternal recurrence of this one. But Nietzsche's question was not meant to terrify. It was meant to awaken. For if you can imagine saying yes to that, yes to every heartbreak, yes to every loss, yes even to the moments that broke you, then you have learned the secret of life affirmation. You have transcended resentment. You have loved fate itself. Nietzsche called this amor fati, the love of one's fate. It is the highest form of strength, the purest form of freedom. To love your fate is not to pretend that life is beautiful in every moment. It is to accept that it is, and that you are willing to live it all again, endlessly. To embrace the storm and the sunlight with equal gratitude. To stop wishing that life were different, and instead to will it exactly as it is. Most people live in the opposite way, chained to resentment, constantly rewriting the past in their minds. They replay their failures like ghosts, haunted by the idea that things should have been otherwise. But Nietzsche asks us to imagine something radical. What if nothing could have been otherwise? What if every wound, every loss, every victory was exactly necessary, not as moral punishment or cosmic design, but as the unfolding of what is? To say yes to this world is to say yes to the necessity of all things, the cruelty and the kindness, the chaos and the order. The eternal return is not a doctrine about time. It is a mirror for the soul. It reveals whether you truly affirm life or whether you still secretly wish to escape it. This is where Nietzsche's philosophy becomes almost mystical. To affirm life in this way, fully, fiercely, without condition, is to merge with existence itself. You no longer stand apart, judging what should or shouldn't be. You become part of the dance. Albert Camus, though he lived decades later, captured this same defiance when he wrote, "The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Camus' Sisyphus and Nietzsche's Overman are brothers in spirit, both condemned to struggle, yet both finding joy in the struggle itself. For when life's absurdity no longer offends you, it begins to liberate you. To live with the awareness of eternal return is to live deliberately, to choose every moment as if it were eternal. It demands that you live in such a way that you could will your life, exactly as it is, to repeat forever. It is not about perfection. It is about acceptance so complete that even imperfection becomes divine. And when you can finally look upon your life with all its chaos and tragedy, and whisper, "Yes, I would live it all again," you have crossed the threshold Nietzsche called the ultimate affirmation. You have become the lover of fate, the creator of meaning, the one who dances even on the edge of the void. At the end of Nietzsche's long road, after the death of God, after the collapse of meaning, after the rebirth of the self, there remains one final mountain to climb. It is the summit he called beyond good and evil, a place where morality itself dissolves, and only the raw truth of being remains. To go beyond good and evil is not to become immoral. It is to transcend the shallow dualities that have imprisoned the human spirit for centuries. It is to see that what we call virtue and sin, right and wrong, are often masks for fear of life, fear of instinct, fear of power, fear of ourselves. Humanity, Nietzsche believed, has spent too long kneeling before ideals that deny life. Religions taught us to despise our bodies, to fear our desires, to seek salvation in another world instead of embracing this one. Even secular morality, progress, equality, utilitarianism, often repeats the same gesture. A desire to tame life, to make it safe, predictable, digestible. But life is not safe. It is wild, burning, merciless, and beautiful precisely because of that. To affirm life is to stop trying to make it conform to your comfort. It is to stand naked before the storm and whisper, "Still, I choose this." When Nietzsche spoke of going beyond good and evil, he envisioned a new kind of human being, one who creates values instead of inheriting them, one who acts not from guilt or obedience, but from overflowing strength, one whose morality is not a cage, but a song. The weak, he said, create morals to protect themselves from the strong. They call humility a virtue because they are afraid of pride. They call pity compassion because they cannot bear another's strength. Nietzsche's answer was not cruelty, it was honesty. The courage to admit that the will to power, the instinct to grow, to strive, to overcome is not evil. It is life itself expressing its fullness. But such honesty comes at a price: isolation. The one who steps beyond inherited morality must walk alone. No system can absolve him, no law can define him. He must be his own compass, his own priest, his own redeemer. In the silence of that solitude, a strange peace appears, the peace of authenticity. You no longer seek approval because you no longer need it. You no longer chase virtue because you have become the source of value itself. And in that moment, morality ceases to be a doctrine. It becomes a work of art. The Overman does not ask, "Is this right?" He asks, "Does this affirm life? Does this act make me more alive, more awake, more myself? Does it deepen the intensity of my being? If it does, it is good not by commandment but by creation." Nietzsche's journey leads us here, to the courage to be, to exist without apology, without justification, without retreat, to burn brightly, even if the light reveals your flaws, to live not as a means to an end, but as an end in itself. He once wrote, "Become hard, not in cruelty, but in resilience. Harden yourself against the temptations of comfort, conformity, and despair. For only through hardness does one learn to love life with all its pain." And perhaps this is the secret that runs beneath all of Nietzsche's philosophy. Not despair, not cynicism, but love. a fierce, unromantic love for existence as it is. To say yes to life, not because it is easy, but because it is yours. In the end, to survive a meaningless world is to stop demanding meaning from it. The universe is not here to console you, to reward you, or to explain itself. It simply is. And in that realization, when you no longer need the world to make sense, something shifts. The burden falls away. The struggle becomes dance. Meaning was never waiting to be found. It was waiting to be created. So stand before the void, not as a victim, but as an artist. Laugh into the silence. Bless your pain. Love your fate. And when the abyss looks back at you, do not look away. Smile, for you are no longer afraid. You have become what Nietzsche dreamed of, one who can bear the weight of existence, and still, with a full heart, say yes.